Welcome to 1 to 11, the show where Premier League stars pick the best players that they've played with and against. This week's guest is a sharp shooter who certainly knows how to find the back of the net. Well, Evan, welcome to Charlie Austin. Charlie, thank you for coming in. Brilliant to do this with you. You might have noticed there that there was a present tense in that introduction because Charlie's still playing at QPR in the Championship. But Charlie, there's only one place I can start really. What's with the hair?
Well, it's just to raise awareness really for autism.
Yeah.
It's something that I've got in my family. I've got 2 children that have got it, and if I can raise the awareness for many people out there, then I thought, why not? Let's go with the pink.
And I guess it's worked. People are talking to you about it everywhere.
Oh, it's hard not to, ain't it? You know what I mean? It's the
like
first thing to see. So that was the aim really, to get many people talking about it, because it doesn't get spoken about enough. There's a lot of people still have it with children and adults that are undiagnosed, and look, if we can raise awareness, then it's brilliant for me to be able to do that for other people to see.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's get into your story then. So, Charlie Austin and football started when you were really young, but actually you could have ended up as a bricklayer rather than a footballer. Yeah. You might have been here picking in your best brickies, your best plumbers, your best sparks.
Do you know what? Me dad owns a building firm with me grand. They'd done it for when they was younger, and it was just something I kind of fell into. Local lad, everybody worked for me dad. If they wasn't going off to do something else, what can we do? Right, go and be a builder. It was one of them. Do you know what I mean? That was a fallback. And I just went and done it, and it was one of them. Listen, I really enjoyed it. Did that Monday to Friday and played non-league at the weekends.
And you'd had the taste at Reading at that point and been released as a 15-year-old, I think you said. So did you think at that point that football was still going to be
finished,
done completely?
Finished. Because tell me I was 15, I thought I thought that was it, the dreams were over, do you know what I mean? And that's quite sad to think. And there's plenty of kids, unfortunately, older and younger, because you're thinking, you give up time, and your parents' time, don't forget, do you know what I mean? Twice a week, then go and train all the way, play games all the way around the country. They invest so much into it, but the opportunity and the chance is so slim. And when I was told it wasn't it, then I thought, my dreams are done. Then that's when it was time to be a builder, and that was it.
So how did you rediscover it then?
Playing football on a Saturday and a Sunday with my friends, finding the love for it.
Yeah.
Playing non-league on a Saturday, just got a bit better playing non-league as you go up through the leagues and stuff. And then I went to Poole Town, and it just, I don't know, it all just seemed to click. Everything I seemed to touch towards goal was going in, and I seemed to have that natural instinct to be in the right place.
You say clicking, I've got written down here 46 goals in 46 games in a title winning season. That's a way to click, isn't it?
It was, yeah, especially my first season. No one knew me at the time. I went there as it's unknown, had moved down to the area and had to make an impression. It was one of them that I certainly did. And look, I've got fond memories of Poole Town. I still speak to the manager that's in charge there now, and it's so great to see them. And as much as my career's gone off, they've done financially very well on the back of it as well.
And 46 is brilliant, but we were talking off air, you were gutted you didn't make it to 50, and you've got a person that you blame as well.
Yeah, Tom Killick, still the manager now. We had a bet with each other that I wouldn't get to 50. I said I would, and then we played Horndean. It was bottom of the league at the time, and he named me on the bench. They won 10-0, and I didn't make an appearance. I looked into the battle. And these days, when we're playing non-league, you make the subs by lifting up the numbers, didn't you?
Okay, yeah.
I think I had number 14, maybe 15 on my back at the time. Well, anyway, when I looked in to find my number to sub myself on, it wasn't even in there.
Was it not?
No, so you had no intentions of putting me on at all.
Mind games, that, isn't it?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
So you certainly made your mark in non-league, there's no doubt about that, and obviously that was a brilliant season at Poole. You then had a trial, I understand, at Bournemouth with Eddie Howe, but it was finding your way to Swindon eventually, where you managed to get your first shot at proper professional football.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I say, Poole Town, Bournemouth for 6 weeks in the pre-season time. They had a transfer embargo, so obviously couldn't go there.
Okay.
Went back to Poole Town for a week. Swindon then phoned and I went there. I always say if I didn't have the 6 weeks at Bournemouth, then I wouldn't have been able to be going at the level I did at Swindon because I had the pre-season ready to go. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of went in there, played a trial game against Swansea and scored and trained the week. And then I remember didn't hear nothing for a week and got a phone call from Danny Wilson saying, look, we're gonna sign you. Would you like to come and sign? No agent. I ran my dad straight away and was like, yeah, going to get it done. And it was like the dream was back. I knew I could play good football at non-league and earn some money through it. But to get to the Football League, the distance was massive. I couldn't explain to you what I was. Anyway, I went to Swindon, just took duck to water. As soon as I got through that door, I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that was it.
Yeah, 18 goals in your first 11 matches in professional football. That's even more impressive than the 46 and 46 at Poole, isn't it?
Do you know what? It was just one of them where it just clicked. I just played. I took my time, 4 or 5 games. I didn't take my time. I wanted to play. I thought I was ready straight away. Do you know what I mean? Because every Saturday I was playing. Then I was usually twice I was left out the squad. I was like, Saturday, what am I going to do? Anyway, Danny Wilson knew what he was doing, took his time with me as such, 6 weeks. I played in a friendly game against Reading with Billy Painter up front, who I struck a great partnership with. We'd beat them 4-2 and both scored 2. On the Saturday, Billy played and done the business and we won the game. And then the following week, I made my debut, which was crazy. I had no heads up all week, and then it was away to Carlisle, and because it's so far, you travel on the bus. We stopped at Bolton, done training, then he come to do the shape. Danny Wilson, he opened his black book and named the team, and he said me, and I was just like, he said my name for starting 11. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Got back in, called my dad. Said, Dad, right, I'm playing. He was like, brilliant, son. Right, I'll see you tomorrow. Like he travelled up with my mum and that.
Yeah.
So anyway, night before in the hotel, I'm sharing a room with Michael Timlin, and I promise you, the rain that was coming down, I've never seen to this day rain like it, and I promise you, comes on the TV, so the local news, half of the pitch at Boundary Park's flooded.
Oh my goodness. I'm from Oldham, by the way, as well, so I know what the weather can be
So
like,
I'm thinking, like, I'm getting my start tomorrow, but this game could get called off tomorrow. So Carlisle's groundsman and stuff, pitch staff done a fantastic job, thankfully, got the game on. After 3 minutes, I had a dream start and dream debut, and it was a goal.
I'm surprised. I thought you were going to say that you went down and fought the pitch to make sure that it rained off, just to make sure that you could play. Swindon went well, like you say, and you sort of got towards the championship, but then you got your chance with Burnley, and it was being reunited with Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Was it him who was the inspiration behind taking you to Turf Moor?
Yeah, big time. He went there and he showed interest in me. When I was doing well in the second season for Swindon, there was interest, but when I knew he was looking at me when he took over at Burnley, I just thought, I need to go and play for this man. It's just the connection I had with him and how much he brought me on in them 6 weeks. I just thought, look, this was it. But it wasn't going to happen. I was going to Ipswich at first. I was at Ipswich and through the door there and decided to make a U-turn right at the last minute and go to Burnley and be part of something that kind of turned everything around, because they had a lot of players with a lot of experience, but the club was definitely trying to go in a different direction.
So when you'd first worked with Eddie Howe, that was his first spell at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They were in League Two, were they, at that point? And then obviously now you're stepping up to the Championship with him. So you're sort of going on his journey as well. Were you clear at that point that he was going to be someone who was destined for the Premier League like he has?
I think he was always going to be a top manager. Get to the Premier League, the difference is, do you know what I mean? It's tough because you open yourself up to a global audience, global managers, coaches from everywhere. But did I think he would get that? I think in time, but at Burnley it just wasn't the right. He had personal stuff going on that didn't make that happen. Went back to Bournemouth to make it great. But for me, in them 18 months that we had together at Burnley, he brought me on leaps and bounds every day after training. Some days, honestly, he used to say to me, Chaz, listen, we'll do extras after, like extra. I think, is he going to give me a break here or what? But obviously it was for the benefit of me. But some days.
Hard to see that though, isn't it? When
at the time, especially for like hour 45, 2 hours you've been training, then all of a sudden you're thinking, well, happy days. Going a bit of lunch shout, and he's up there shouting, Chaz, come here. They had me running across mannequins, front post, back post. And the way I look back, it was just all about building the foundations for me to become an all-round striker.
Yeah, you're probably still using it now, I'm sure. Eddie did leave Burnley, like you said, he had his problems there, and it was Sean Dyche who arrived. You were there when the Dyche era began at Burnley. He's Mr. Burnley now, really, isn't he? He's become synonymous with them in the Premier League. I mean, was he just as good for you as Eddie Howe was?
Very good. When he come in, I had 20 goals. Like, I started that season like a house on fire, you know what I mean? I just went straight off. He come in, it was like a different manager, different mindset. It was more about the team, whereas Eddie was, everything was for me. The team was based on me. Well, Sean was, listen, we need to be solid as a team.
So you're not like
as a striker, I'm like, I don't need this. Only them to give me the ball up there. But no, he was brilliant. He was brilliant that season. We finished off, and I only had a year left on my contract, so we was having conversations, all that stuff. But I was very adamant I wasn't going to sign. But our relationship went to another level after the summer and in the next pre-season.
What happened in the summer?
So I was linked to leave. I only had a year to go. Anyway, I come in on the Saturday of pre-season, and they'd agreed a bid with Hull.
Okay.
And that was it. And I was going to Hull.
And Hull are a Premier League team.
Hull were Premier League, just been promoted. See, so I was like, what's going on? I'm going Premier League. Me and my wife went across to Hull, and my dad come up, my agent, done all the medical stuff. But I knew I had a problem with my knee. And, so when I was 14, I had a problem with my knee. I was playing a non-league game just with boys my age. I felt like a click in my knee, and I thought, that's nothing. Like 14, don't think nothing of it, do you?
Yeah.
Come off the pitch and I felt another click. Went back, I thought, that's Andy, you can walk. Next day I was a bit sore, but didn't think enough. Tuesday after school game. Only 15, aren't you? You just
carry on,
play it on.
Yeah.
Exactly the same happened. This time, no click back. I thought I'm in big trouble. Anyway, I had an operation. 14 years old, didn't think nothing of it. Just, that's not going to come back and haunt me or anything like that. Do the medical at Hull, and then all of a sudden it was a no-go from them. Steve Bruce was in charge, and he was brilliant to my dad. He was very reassuring for my dad. But for me, I'm now thinking, every club you go to is a medical. So what chance have I got now then?
And if you've not done a medical and gone through all that before and failed it, I guess you're not sure what.
So I just assumed if you fail one medical, you're failing every medical, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I was fortunate that at some clubs and majority of clubs, how much they want you determines on how much they look at the medical.
There is that, yeah. So which medical did you pass then after there? What was your
next QPR. I went to QPR. But
that's where the love affair started.
That was it, and that's where it all started.
Yeah.
They was crying out for a number 9, and they was crying out for somebody that was British, but someone that wasn't a name. Because QPR, it was well documented that they had every name that was out there.
It's quite a collection of players, yeah?
They were spending big money, didn't know who was coming. And when I went there, QPR fans just took to me. And I just went on a crazy run of scoring the goals, and everyone loves a number 9 that scores goals, don't they?
Yeah, and celebrations like that became commonplace, didn't they, at Loftus Road, certainly. Right, we'll come back to that moment, because of course with QPR, that was the team that you first got into the Premier League with. We're going to get into your side now, that's the reason you're here. So start where every team starts. Who's the goalkeeper?
The goalkeeper I've picked is Fraser Forster.
Okay.
I promise you, when I signed for Southampton, he went, I want to say 8 games without conceding when I first signed. He played one of the best games I've seen as a goalkeeper. We played Arsenal away, drew 0-0. It was like a brick wall in the goal. Doesn't matter what they threw at him, he was unbelievable. Save after save after save. And when you had someone like that in the sticks, it just gives you that belief, do you know what I mean? He was part of the England setup that went to the Euros. He's made numerous England caps.
Got back in the squad now.
He's got back in now, and he's just someone that he dipped in form. Alex McCarthy then come in, took his place, and started playing well. And then, as we all know, as a goalkeeper, it's tough to change. When you do change, it's tough to try and reverse that and get back in. But for me, he's definitely the best, and probably one. I don't get enough credit for what he does with his feet. Yeah,
he's not a name I've seen mentioned much on this show, to be fair, either, in terms of being appreciated as a goalkeeper in the Premier League. Who's your right back?
He is just signed for Newcastle.
Okay.
He was at Atletico Madrid, Kieran Trippier.
Fantastic.
Honestly, as a centre forward, he was the dream. We had a relationship that when I knew he had the ball, he knew where I was going, and it just worked like clockwork.
This was at Burnley together?
At Burnley, it just worked, mate, and it was a striker's dream. He played for me. When he ever had the ball, his first look up was, where am I?
He's in your team.
Where am I? It was perfect for me. He had like 10, 12 assists just for me. And then he'd gone on and listen, he was part of the Tottenham team that got beat in the Champions League final. He's gone to Atletico Madrid and won league title there. He's part of the England squad constantly. He was brilliant, revelation. We played left back. Do you know what I mean? In the Euros, and it just shows what he's like. And then got this opportunity. He's come back to Newcastle, probably come back home. He's a Manchester lad, and it's an opportunity he couldn't turn down.
Yeah, it's a shame about his injury because he was making such a brilliant impact up there, wasn't he? Who's your right centre half?
This might surprise some, but I don't. But then on the other hand, I don't think it was Richard Dunn.
Okay, why do you think it would surprise people?
Because he, for me, is not talked about enough.
Okay.
He's the real deal. He was the real deal, and he could shift. Some people say, oh, he's big lad, he could shift. Big Dunn, he could shift. When them size 11s were coming towards you, you knew how to get out of the way. He was just, I don't know, the reading of his game. So I played with him obviously at the back end of his career.
Yeah.
The reading of the game was phenomenal. And you see him when he played like Man City, Aston Villa. And I remember being at West Brom and the kit man Jacko was there, and he's an Irish lad. He said the best performance he'd ever seen was Dunny playing for Ireland. I think there's one where he slides off the pitch, all of a sudden he comes back on, he's got the AstroTurf, like all of them. He was the centre half, the back in the day, solid, strong centre forward, and he had it all for me.
The one to avoid in training then, based on that?
Yeah, you need to be on Dunny's team or stay on the other side. That was the plan, yeah.
That's usually the measure, isn't it, to be fair, of how people feel in training. Who partners him?
This one won't surprise anyone.
Okay.
This won't surprise anybody. VVD. Virgil van Dijk, best centre half in the world.
Yeah, as high as that.
In the world. He has everything. His time at Southampton run its course. And what I mean by that is he needed to play with better players, he needed to play with more challenging things, he needed to play against the best players in the world. Was I surprised that he went to Liverpool and took to it the way he did? Absolutely not. He was incredible.
You could see it coming already.
He was incredible. So
because of his personality or because of his ability?
He was there. He's Dutch, big aura. He controls the room. He's just the way he was. He was very calm when he played. Don't try. He looks like don't try. Ball goes down the sides. He just runs and just jogs away. But the reading of the game is incredible. So before he went to Liverpool in the summer, he was obviously being linked constantly. And it was about going. Mauricio Pellegrino, who's in charge at the time, got us all in second day of pre-season, and Virgil said, look, I'm not going to play. And the manager said, listen, Virgil's linked with everyone else. He said he's not going to play with the team anymore. So he's going to go over there and train on his own. He went for 6 weeks, whole pre-season, didn't train with us once.
What were you all thinking?
We was like, manager had to come and like stamp his authority, of course. But he's best player in the team, centre half. Like he's what we need.
Boss.
Come on, but he was like, no, fine, I'm not doing it. You had Jose Font there, who'd obviously just been part of the Portugal team that had won the Euros as well.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So we had a good player, Maya Yoshida from Japan, but it was Virgil van Dijk. Anyway, materialised through the window. He didn't move. I promise you, second day after window shut, second day, Virgil was back in.
I can imagine it.
Back in on the Wednesday, he played on the Saturday, and that was it.
Wow.
And then we're just going through, and then he eventually moved to Liverpool, and listen, he's won the Premier League, he's won Champions Leagues, and for me, he's the best centre half in the world.
Any stories about him that we don't know? Because we know a lot about his ability as a player, but his character maybe, apart from the calmness that he gives off. Nothing that stands out.
No, not really. He wasn't aggressive. The one that I had, and I said about the Man United. So where we sat, I remember to this day, we sat on the bench at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and this was around about mid-December time. And I said, and Virgil was linked obviously to go to Liverpool. That was his number one club, and he'd been linked with obviously everybody. I said, Virgil, Man United's been spending this dough. Like, how have they not been invited? He said, Chaz, it was linked in the summer, but they went for Lindelof instead.
Yeah, and I think they're regretting that now, still to this day, aren't they?
Still to this day, yeah.
Who's left back?
Left back, Ryan Bertrand. Someone, for me, again, same as Kieran, everything was for me. He looked forward.
I'm getting a theme.
Very selfish. Charlie. Strikers, most selfish people. Everything, honestly, he left, right foot can come inside, bomb on the overlap, come inside. It was just, he was one of them characters that you had to have in your team. And do you know what many people forget? He made one Champions League appearance.
In the final.
And it was in the final.
Yeah.
He played left of a front three behind.
Fernando Torres, would it be?
Yeah, maybe.
Chelsea,
yeah. He sat on a bench. He was like 19th, 20th man at the Nou Camp when Torres went round and scored that night.
Drogba as well would have been around that time.
Him and Ashley Cole was on the left in the final, and he said, Chaz, I didn't think nothing of it. And it was the Friday before I was told that I was playing. Imagine not playing the Champions League once and then that was it. But he was a character that was very, very calm, but very opinionated on the flip side of it. That because he'd come from Chelsea and because he'd seen the top, he just wanted the best from everything. If something wasn't right, no, he was.
So he's quite vocal then.
Very vocal, and he was right to be the captain at the end before Pierre Højbjerg took over, and it was someone that I liked playing with and someone I liked playing for.
And character-wise as well, someone who'd been there and done it.
How can you argue
the reverse
with
of Virgil van Dijk?
Yeah, how can you, and he won it at such a young age as well. Don't forget, I think he was like maybe 22, 23. How can you argue with someone like that? It's that experience because no one else at the time in the team could say, "I'll play in the Champions League final." It's impossible. Like Fraser played for Celtic and Virgil in the Champions League, but Champions League final. Winner.
Yeah, when you've done that,
winner. There's not. What else can you say? World Cup. Well, do you know what I mean? Not many.
Yeah,
people
you're not going many
that.
places.
No, exactly. So for me, he was one of them he was a leader of the dressing room. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's your team so far.
Yeah.
Fraser Forster in goal, Kieran Trippier, Richard Dunn, Virgil van Dijk, and Ryan Bertrand in your defence. And in part 2 of 1 to 11, we'll be taking a look at the rest of Charlie's team and also speaking about his time in the Premier League, scoring goal after goal after goal in the blue and white of QPR and other sides as well. See you after this break. Welcome back to 1 to 11. Charlie, we'll get into the rest of your team in a moment, but we left your story in part 1, arriving in the Premier League, finally getting your opportunity. I've got your highlights written down on my notes, but I think we should start with your debut in the top flight, which wasn't exactly a highlight, was it?
No, it wasn't. We played Hull City at home, and Loic Remy was up front with me, someone that had obviously done it in the Prem for them before. Anyway, we get a penalty. I've just scored 20 goals season before, like I'm the man.
My pen.
Yeah, it's my pen, that's what it is. I tried to replicate what I did in the playoff semi-final. I didn't think people watched goalies start watching all that.
Which was?
Steve Harper.
Yeah, and what was the technique that you'd replicated?
I used to start at the ball. I've changed it completely now, so it don't matter. Well, I used to start in centre of the ball. If I'd run straight, I'd go to keeper's left. And if I have a little arc, I'd try and whip it.
Right.
I did an arc, terrible penalty, keeper saved it. That was it. We lost 1-0. I think they went down the other end and scored to make it 1-0.
Just to make it worse as well.
Just to make it worse. And that was it. I thought, brilliant. Welcome to the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was it. And then the next, even that evening, the next day, coverage is different, ain't it? You know, the coverage is different. So my start to the Premier League debut, missed penalty.
It got better from there though, Charlie, didn't it?
Yeah.
Thankfully for you. And in your second game, you got your first goal, which I guess for any striker stepping up to the top flight, that's the first thing you need, isn't it?
It was.
Here it is.
I just trained that week twice, I think, because I'd missed the Tottenham game because I was injured. Manager, that just showed the faith the manager had in me. Anyway, the corner come in, Leroy's headed it. I see Leroy going ahead, he's never going to score from there, and for some reason I just dropped back and found myself a bit of space, and the left foot swinger went into the roof of the net, and it was, I think you see in my celebration, it was just like raw emotion, I think relief.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That I'd finally got off the
Especially
zero.
after the first game.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And as any striker, like they'd all say, you just want to get that first one. I don't care how it comes, just want that first one. And that was it. To get my first Premier League goal was brilliant.
Yeah, and the highlights from there as well. What's your favourite Premier League goal?
Oh, it'd have to be the Southampton one.
Okay.
All right, it'd have to be. But obviously we didn't win.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that was a bit tough, but it'd have to be. Couldn't replicate that again.
The technique.
Couldn't ask me to do that again. It was just instinct. The way, like back to goal, it comes across here, and boom.
Yeah.
It's just not possible for me to replicate that again.
There's no Virgil van Dijk in that Southampton.
No, there's no.
defence,
And do you know what? I had a good run of form against Southampton for a few years as well, so I always liked playing against them. And it was just one of them touch, finish, swivel. But like I say, I wouldn't be able to replicate that. But that was just one of them special goals for me.
Yeah.
Right, we didn't get the 3 points, but that was a very special goal for me.
A theme of your story as well, Charlie, is this idea of sort of hitting the ground running wherever you've gone and whatever step you've made. Yes, okay, there was the missed penalty on the Premier League debut, but from there you just absolutely flew. In your debut season in the Premier League, we're talking only Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero and Diego Costa scoring more goals than you that season. I mean, that's an incredible record, isn't it?
And think, that's Man City, Tottenham, Chelsea, 20th.
Yeah, good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like that. you think they get chance after chance after chance, and when you're at the bottom, it's not that. I just went on a crazy run. It was around about Christmas time. I think I had 11 goals. I was the leading English scorer, and just took off. I scored 3 hat-trick against West Brom just before Christmas. And then second half, we kind of slowed up, and that's where we was problem. But for me, it just, what I could have asked for. There's only a select few that have got to 20, and I think, and been relegated. If I didn't miss 2 penalties, I'd have got there. But do you know what I mean? But to score 18 goals in your debut season, my argument is, if someone comes from a different league from abroad, they don't take it off in the first season, no problem. Time bedding in. If you come from the lower leagues in this country, they don't do it in the first season, not good enough, needs to go back. Like these levels, that one below.
Level.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But for me, I just writ all them questions off by just getting it done and scoring the goals. But unfortunately, I couldn't keep the team up.
And getting in the England squad that season as well must have been a massive highlight for you. I know you didn't get on the pitch.
Yeah, it was a massive highlight. Of course, it was. You want to play for your country, of course. And you look back and think, is that a regret? Yeah, but could I have done any more? No. I scored 18 goals in a team that had got relegated. I'm not sure there's going to be anyone else to do that.
No, it's a great record. And like we say, if you've got Kane and Aguero and Costa ahead of you, and that's it.
Exactly.
You're doing pretty well, aren't you, to be fair? Of course, QPR went down, like you said. You had 6 months there in the Championship, but then got your shot back in the Premier League with Southampton. And like we say, hitting the ground running. What a start, by the way.
You couldn't think of... If you dreamt about debuts, that was it. The perfect one. But nearly beforehand, I wasn't going to...
So this is your debut at Old Trafford against Manchester United.
I've seen this goal so many times, you know.
I bet you have. Yeah.
So many times. It was a weird one. I'd won the free kick, and I remember being with Jose Font just around the penalty spot before, and he was being marked by Schneidlin, I think, and Paddy McNair was marking me. He got close to me, and I pushed him away, and then he gets the other side of Jose and Schneidlin. I thought, well, I'm in here. I just see the flight of the ball. They kind of all go to the front post, and as we did, I kind of stopped. All of a sudden, I was free. 7, 8 yards out, just boom. See it hit the back of the net, and it was like, oh, brilliant. That emotion. I remember celebrating, then coming away, and Shane Long pushed me back. You got to soak it in.
Yeah.
And that was it. Winning 1-0 away. I know United were going through their troubles, but as a personal note, it was incredible. And like you say, hit the ground running. How to get your new fans on side. Scored a winning goal at Old Trafford.
And you nearly missed that game, you were saying before.
I know,
as well.
yeah. On the morning out, I woke up. I was in the mirror, and I thought, toothache. Anyway, I was messing about this thing. Filling dropped out.
Oh, no.
Oh, and that's toothache is one of them. I took anti-inflams, a couple of paracetamol.
Did you tell anyone?
No, there was no way I was missing that game. Making your debut at Old Trafford. How come Charlie Austin's not the team? Toothache, this morning.
It's not the best excuse,
do you know what I mean?
When you put
I was
it like
going to have
that.
to grin and bear it. But the emotion and everything, the excitement, the adrenaline got me through, and look, I scored at Old Trafford on my debut. It's amazing.
Yeah, again, something that no one can take away from you. Your time at Southampton, highs and lows, really.
Yeah.
I guess, playing in Europe with them was brilliant, scoring goals for them, making that great start. But changes of managers, I mean, playing under 5 managers in no time almost, that must have been really tough.
Really tough. Yeah, it was really tough. Claude Puel come in, and I had to kind of win him over as such, and did. And then I started playing good football. I didn't really get my break for the first 4 or 5 games in the Premier League with him. He was like trying everybody, Shane Long and then Joe Rodriguez and me. And my break come in the Europa League, and my first one we'd won at home, and I'd scored 2. And then that kind of kick-started me then. I scored at Swansea at home and then Palace in the Cup, and then just reeled on.
Bounced and bounced.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was playing my best football then. I felt like I was playing my best football. Meant on the pitch, off the pitch, I was doing everything right. And then I dislocated my shoulder. And that was like my season, 4 months. I wasn't back until the start of May. It's very disappointing for me. Could get back fit, fine. Come to the summer, sacked, new manager. It's like, well, where are we going from here? You know what I mean? And I had to do it all over again with that manager, Pellegrino. Christmas time, I scored 5 goals in 4 games. Tore a hamstring, the tendon. That was 16 weeks. Wow. Come back. Problem is, when I was coming back, team wasn't winning, gradually coming down. Then the manager got sacked. Mark Hughes come in, just so I was coming back now, so I knew I had to come back and hit the ground running as such, or play a big part. I'd grown as a character really in that 2 years from what I was at QPR to where I was at that point. I felt myself coming on more as like a leader, more vocal in the changing rooms.
Experience.
Yeah, and that just comes with playing games and being involved around it. And then all of a sudden, it just took off. Mark Hughes come in, 8 games we stayed up, beat Swansea 1-0. Anyway, he comes in. The following season, all fine, but we don't take off. We stay in the Premier League and think, right, that's it. We can build on this and kick on. Like the momentum's with us as such. Nowhere near good enough. We wasn't. But the players that was coming in didn't help the team. It was just they was on the same level as the players we had, so we was going to struggle to get out of position. Then he got sacked and Ralph come in, and that's when it kind of become difficult for me then in the last little bit.
Yeah, you get the impression that it was disrupted by changes of manager or injury, whatever it might be. Eventually you left and joined West Brom.
Yeah.
And a tale that we sort of talked about already before, but with a new club, finding your way back into the Premier League. I mean, how much did you enjoy your time there under Slaven Bilic?
I loved it. I wanted to find my purpose again. Do you know what I mean? To go there and play, but when I mean purpose, to be a part of a team that was trying to get promoted and also
and a leader in that team as well.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what I was that was what I was going for. It was a different part of my career. I just turned 30 in the summer, and I'd gone there, and it was around players that were similar to my age, and I knew the group, and it was very similar. I always look back to when I went to QPR. I know I was a younger one, but there was older players in the team, and that was how the West Brom kind of felt. And we just took off. We had good players, Mateus Pereira, Grady Diangana that we'd got in. And it was just one of them where we got to the Premier League, we achieved the goal that we wanted to. Amazing feeling. And like I said to you, to replicate that is just one of them. Slaven Bilic played such a big part. He played such a good part, and just someone that I like playing for.
Were you at your best though, during the time in the Premier League with West Brom?
No. Brutally honest, no. No point. I couldn't sit across to you and say, do you know what? Yeah, I was. No. My best, I feel like, was when I was, say, 27, 28, when I was at Southampton, and I just felt like I could have done anything. I had 9 goals, I think it was by 8 or 9 goals before December. Injury, and that kind of halted my thinking. I think that would be something that I look back in time and think, only if I didn't get injured. But they wasn't small injuries. I've done my shoulder 3 times. Dislocated my shoulder. I've had operations. I had to go to Vail in Colorado to the Stedman Clinic to get it done. There's not a lot There's not a lot of. You can't rush them
as well.
Yeah, you can't rush these things. So you come back and do it again. It was a nightmare. It wasn't a 2-week hamstring injury. It was like 16 weeks tendon tear. Do you know what I mean? So if I look back and think, if I didn't have the injuries, but yeah, unfortunately, when I got to West Brom, I just wasn't there.
Yeah, it's all part of your story, to be fair. That it's the highs and lows of being a professional player, I guess. We'll come back to your story because we need to talk about QPR and, of course, your bid to get back into the Premier League a little bit later on. But let's get back into your team.
Fine.
Who have you gone for on the right side of your midfield?
All right side of my midfield, as I've gone for James Ward-Prowse. His delivery is incredible. Incredible. Set pieces, corners, free kicks, penalties, just in play. But do you know what? The nuts and bolts of his game is very good. Very good.
He's been another one who's maybe been underappreciated until this point. His free kick record has brought him to the fore, really, hasn't it?
And he continuously will break David Beckham's record.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's only 4 short. But for me, the nuts and bolts of his game, he runs everywhere, covers every blade of grass. He's someone who you want in your team.
Yeah.
But he brings a different armour to his game, don't he, with everything else, you know.
Who's your central midfielder, your first choice?
Right. I've gone for the Kenyan Victor Wanyama.
Okay.
What a character.
Really?
What a character. Honestly. Darts around I remember Southampton, I was thinking, right, you go in the change room, you're like, right, who am I sitting next to? I look up, next to Big Vic, I'm like, oh, all right, how am I going to get on with here?
Yeah.
Brilliant. He
really?
Was incredible. And then he was such a big lad, big, strong. He come out of the show, just dance all his way around there. You could never get on his nerves unless you try and boot him in training, then he'd get after
Well, he's a real competitor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And then he got his obviously moved to Tottenham. But from what he did at Celtic and what he did at Southampton, it was incredible. As someone that I really enjoyed playing with, he was so big, so strong, and he was fundamental to the football club. You needed someone like him who could do the dirty work.
Every team needs that, definitely. Yeah. And this team needs it as well, because you've got a little bit of stardust in your midfield, haven't you? Who's playing 10?
Nico Cranshaw is playing 10. This guy had everything. I mean that. He had everything. To play with him, he had right foot, he could hit the ball as hard with his left than what he could with his right. He had the chop on, lock, roll, foot roll. He was just a pleasure to play with. He really was. He was someone, and beautiful man as well. Look at him in that photo there. He just had such an aura about him. Do you know what I mean? You enjoyed being around him.
Yeah.
And you could ask him all sorts of questions.
What do you mean?
Off the field stuff. Like if I kind of had a relationship with Nico. That if I needed to talk to him regarding children, Nico was a dad. I'd talk to him about my wife, but then if I needed to talk to him about football,
haircuts.
Yeah, I only dream of a barnet like that. But do you know what I mean? Because he'd played for so many teams and across the world. And don't forget, he played for Croatia. He played in that 08 team when they knocked us out, didn't they, at Wembley. He was part of that, and it was just someone that who I got on really well with. And the way football goes, you don't keep in contact with everybody, but do you know what I mean? He was someone that I really enjoyed playing with and had a good connection with.
Yeah, and he had a brilliant career as well, didn't he? Another player, actually, is a really interesting choice who you've gone for on left wing, because I don't think we did appreciate him at all, almost, when he was in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And he's gone to Ajax, and certainly in that Champions League run.
That's what I was going to come on to.
He got the real credit,
This is
didn't he?
when he gets the credit. Tadic. He wanted the ball whether he had one man, no men on him, or 5. He just wanted the ball all the time. He was one of them that oozed the quality. He could see a pass. He loved it. He was great as a 9. He would just slip you in and you point where to go, and he'd play the ball for you. I think we scored against Arsenal where he had the ball. Probably, I'm shouting at him probably 5 seconds before he's even give it to me, because I thought he needed to give it to me earlier. I made the run and it was literally perfect touch goal. Do you know what I mean? He was one of them players. However, off the field, he was one of them that was ultra professional. He was 8-pack, muscles out here. He was everything. But he used to walk around the training ground, on his tiptoes, so he could get big calves.
Really?
I promise you. Up and down the corridor around the gym, mate, he just walk around. Dude, Sam, what are you doing? My calves, Bradley, my calves.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. You're mad. But he was one of them that just, on the pitch, first class, off the pitch, first class. But he was a guy that you'd want in your team, because if you was in trouble, he always wanted the ball. He never shied away from anything.
Yeah, and he had the calves to keep the ball as well, didn't he, by the sound of it?
Correct.
Who's your front two then? Who's your first choice?
My front two, Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane. I don't know what there is to say about Sadio, other than he's got terrible clothes, bad gear and stuff. But
really?
Yeah, he has. That was even at Southampton. So when he was there, he used to come in with these trousers on, jeans, covered in paint. I remember one day we was in there, right, and we was messing
Presumably he's not done this himself. He's not decorating.
No, right. So that's what we was trying to work out. And we had a cricket bat in the changing room, right? And these Cherry Active kind of gels like help recover it. I threw a box at Fraser Forster. He smashes this box, went everywhere, all over Sadio's jeans. I think to this day, unless he watches this, he just thinks the red print was part of his jeans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just went all over his gear, mate. But when I went to Southampton and he was there, he had raw pace. And respectfully, he was raw finisher. And when Liverpool bought him, I was like, oh, okay, it's like another level, isn't it?
Good
Going
luck.
to there, good luck, it's another level. But has he taken that to a new level and some? He's reaped the rewards going there. He's won again, Premier League, Champions League, African Cup of Nations. He's going to go to the World Cup. He's one of them that I enjoy. I only play with him for a short space of time, but you couldn't leave Sadio Mane out.
No, and he sort of sampled what was to come at Southampton as well. He's got the record-breaking hat-trick where he's got the fastest hat-trick in Premier League history, and growing in stature now, the guy who sends his team to the World Cup
And
scoring the winning penalty.
And he scored a hat-trick against Man City in the Premier League. There's not many people can say that.
Not in recent years.
Do you know what I mean? There's not many, is there?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Who's partnering?
Danny Ings.
Another cracker, yeah.
So I was with Ings. I've known Dan for a long time. He was at Bournemouth when I was there first. Then he was come to Burnley when I was there. Then he'd come to Southampton. We just got good relationship, really good relationship together. And the early part, I felt so sorry for him on his first day at Burnley training, just signed. We'd done a shooting drill at the end. We'd throw the ball up to Jason Tindall, he'd drop it down for a volley. He'd done that, landed, done his ACL. on his first day of training. It was so sad.
That's really unlucky, isn't it?
Really unlucky. See how hard he worked to come back so fit, so strong. He hit the ground running and scored a couple of goals. And then obviously he moved to Liverpool. And again, I mean, he was unfortunate. Someone hit with the injuries, and Jurgen Klopp didn't want him to go, but he knew what he needed to do to progress his career. He'd come to Southampton, he just took it on to another level. I watched him, and from knowing him when he was younger to what he is now, I was like, this boy's a different kettle of fish now.
What was different?
He's so sharp. His finishing was second to none. Like I can, as all strikers, they back their own ability. Dan was he was very sharp in and around the box. He was just, his instinct kind of grow. I know they say you can't give instinct to strikers, know where they are. I think you can to a certain degree, because it certainly happened with Dan. As we was growing up, he was like a number 10.
And was that being at Liverpool, do you think, that brought that out of him?
I think so, with the better players. With all due respect to the teams he obviously played for before, I think, of course, playing with better players, you kind of watch. He was at Liverpool and see the best do it, and listen, he's taken it on, and he's scored bundles of goals in the Premier League. He's the first player for Southampton for many years to score 20 goals. I think last year he scored 26, and he's got his big money move to Aston Villa. So yeah, he definitely had to be in my team.
Yeah, and he's obviously the guy that team is providing the chances for. This is the siding for them. Forster at the back, Trippier, Dunn, Van Dijk, Bertrand in midfield. It's Wanyama, Ward-Prowse, Kranjčar and Tadic in the middle in a little diamond like that. Ings and Manny up front. You satisfied with that, Charlie?
I'm happy with that. I am. I've got experience, youth, match winners.
Yeah. How close were you getting in that side?
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah, okay.
I'm in. No, maybe I'll be watching. No.
I'm glad you got there.
Yeah, no.
Brilliant. I'll let you ponder that while we have a short break then, because we're going to be back in a moment talking about Charlie's bid to get back into the big time with QPR, and also taking a look at the team of the players he played against, the best of those. We'll see you shortly.
This year to try and get there, try and get to promised land, as everyone says, and that was it. He brought me back, but you know what changed? Not changed the way the respect that I had for him went to another level. I lost my nan in September. We played Coventry on the Saturday. So on the Friday, my nan had a stroke. I didn't tell no one. I was keep it to myself. Like, I'll be fine. And Saturday played, I was useless. I was playing, and I couldn't get it out of my head. Anyway, I had to tell him after and all that kind of stuff. I apologised for obviously not telling him. I said, I wanted to play, I wanted to get away from everything. Anyway, it come to about October. My nan passed, it was in the middle of September, unfortunately. Anyway, get to October, moving on. I couldn't find my form back, or back to where I was. I think I just wasn't happy with football. I was coming in every day, it just wasn't for me. I had a conversation with him, he said, Chaz, you've not been yourself since. I said, Gaffer, I just think I need time away. He said, well, the international break's coming up next week. Go away for 2 weeks, come back, let me know how you feel. I was away for the first 2 days. I was like, I said to my wife, I said, I'm not sure about this. 5 days later, I was like, I need to get back.
Really?
Yeah, I need to get back.
What clicked?
I don't know. I just think I sat on a sun lounger one day in the afternoon. I was like, I miss it.
You're bored.
I miss it. I'm bored. I miss it. I need to get back. And I come back with like a real buzz and a real enthusiasm. And I think I said that to him in a conversation I had with him. And he said to me 2 weeks in, he said, that's more like you. So my respect for him as a manager is first class, but my respect for him off the pitch is even higher.
Yeah, it's a good example of man management, isn't it? And fine man management at that. He's a mastermind along with the squad, of course. Your bid to get back to the Premier League. You're just outside the playoffs as we record this programme, but it's so tight, isn't it?
So tight. The Championship is one of them leagues that anything can happen, but it's so tight. We're outside the playoffs, so we've got nothing to lose. We've got everything to gain.
It's a good way of looking at it. You said that to me earlier on as well. It clicked in my head.
The worst thing can happen is we can't make the playoffs. Well, we're not in there now. So if the season stops now, we're not in there. So we can't get there. So we might as well just have a good go at it for 8 games. Yeah. Because the prize, I say to lads, the prize you can't explain it. You can't. And the emotions you have when you achieve it. I don't think you can get close to it unless you've obviously the birth of your children as such.
It's the higher the playoffs though as well, isn't it?
It's massive.
In particular,
and it's just one of them that sucks you and absorbs all the energy that you have but the reward is massive, and I'm just fingers crossed we can achieve that this year.
Yeah, every goal gets more and more important as the season goes on when you're in this sort of position. Your last goal, though, must have been quite important for you for personal reasons. An 89th minute strike against West Brom, of all clubs.
Yeah, do you know,
Here's your celebration. It looks like it means a bit,
It did, it was a big game for us because we didn't do great against teams close to us, but playing against West Brom, I knew the whole team that was there. The manager wasn't obviously there when I was part of the football club, but I just come there and I just thought, and I left West Brom on great terms, you know.
Yeah.
I loved the football club. I thought
you've got the bad sort of connections in your head a little bit, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
You're fighting against that almost.
Yeah, because I wanted to give them more than what I could.
Yeah.
And that was for just sometimes it fits, sometimes it don't, and that was just one of them. Anyway, that goal to score at the Loft End to win 1-0 against your old team, it's...
When you put it like that.
Do you know what I mean? It's one of them, and we win 1-0 and gives us a good push up the league. But like I say, there's 8 games to go for us, and we've got a job to do.
Everyone's a cup final. You're not the first footballer to say that.
Correct.
Let's look at your team then, of the players that you played against during your time in the Premier League. It's almost a who's who, to be honest, of recent times in the top flight. What was so hard about playing against Chelsea's defence? You've come for Ivanovic, Terry and Cahill.
I said to you before, Ivanovic I don't think gets enough credit. But let me tell you, he was tough to play against. He was hard and horrible physically. In the air, when you go up for a header with him in the air, you used to get one in the back all the time. It was just one of them. John Terry was England captain. He put a number of caps for England. Chelsea, he was the man. It was so tough. And him and Cahill had that partnership where if one would go in, you get behind one, the other's there to do you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just so tough. I got very little change out of them 3, and that's why I had to go for it. Whenever I played against anyone else, I just thought, I might have a go here.
And you could pull on to one,
exactly.
knowing that the other ones...
But them 3 were just phenomenal. They really was really tough to play against.
I skipped over the keeper a little bit, actually, because for a striker, it's quite important who the goalie is. So was he the most difficult one to beat?
Yeah.
David De Gea. I mean, you scored against him.
I scored against him, but before he's made save after save against me, and it's been tough. But listen, I wasn't there when Alisson was there. Of course, I played, but a little bit but for me, David De Gea is the one, definitely.
Just briefly, because we're running out of time, who would you pick out from that front 6? Who's the best one of the lot?
Sergio Aguero.
Yeah? Why?
He just had it all. I know it's easy to say the other ones, but for me, Sergio Aguero, and to think he only got in 1 Premier League Team of the Year is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's criminal almost, isn't it, to talk about that. I mean, when you look back now at your journey from the almost bricklayer that we were talking about before to what you've achieved now, the players that you've played against, the players that you've played with, there's still more to come.
Yeah.
You're not retired just yet?
No, not retired. No, not at all. I've still got the fire in my belly. I still wake up every day and I want to go to work and improve. Still at 32, you can still improve every day. I want to continue playing for as long as I can, as long as my body does, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm letting myself down. And I mean that respectfully. Like, I don't want to stay at QPR. I'll go to a football club where I can't give my best because no one wins there. I don't achieve nothing. The football club don't achieve nothing.
True. What would it mean to you to get back in the Premier League then, just to cap off this story?
Everything. I come back to get a job done. Last year I come back to get them away from relegation, achieve that. This year I signed in the summer to achieve promotion. I just, fingers crossed, I can get it done.
Yeah, you're getting closer and closer, certainly, aren't you? Yeah, it'd be great to see you back in the Premier League. Charlie, it's been brilliant to do this with you. Thank you for coming on 1 to 11 and picking that team. An absolutely brilliant lineup of Premier League stars in there, not to mention the players that you played against us with. Just pick one player out. Who would you have liked to have been your teammate of that team?
Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, because he's providing you again, yeah?
Everything, he picks himself, don't he, Steven Gerrard? He's one of the midfield greats of all time, and I'd love to play in the same team as him.
Yeah, he was great, to be fair, but then so were the others. Every single one of those would have been providing you.
To pick one is tough.
Very difficult, yeah. It's been great to do it, Charlie. Good luck getting back into the Premier League. You might be adding to that side yet.
Yeah.
You never know, but thank you for being on 1 to 11. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.